Binge.
Rampage.
Hey everyone, welcome back for a brand new video about the show that's finally back and about to start killing off even more main characters, The Walking Dead. Warning, beyond this point there are spoilers for people who are not up to date in The Walking Dead television series and comic books. In this video, we're going to give you our Rampage recap of the Season 10 opener along with our binge breakdown of the promo for Episode 2. We're also going to announce the lucky winner of our Walking Dead supply drop contest, and finally, we're going to give you our Season 10 death predictions. First, let's go over the Season 10 premiere and all that's happened since Season 9 ended. The episode starts off with someplace we've never seen in the Walking Dead universe, outer space, as a Russian satellite falls from the sky and will inevitably start a chain reaction that leads to more death. After that, we get some action sequences that we've seen in previous trailers which we hoped were battle shots. Unfortunately, these are just training shots, but still kind of cool to see the survivors moving in a military-style formation. But how much can they really do against a horde? The scene ends with Michonne cutting the face off a walker in what is obviously a symbolic omen of the coming Whisperer War. The following scene in Oceanside tells us months have passed since the Season 9 finale, as obviously winter is over. Luke has shed a few pounds since we last saw him and found a new love interest. Will he blow it like Eugene and get friend-zoned? Michonne and Daryl walk through the Oceanside camp and talk about how things are looking good, which means things are about to start getting pretty bad. The scene then cuts to Judith, who is playing with RJ and Jerry's kids. Just when you think things can't get any cuter, the story takes a 180 as Judith finds a Whisperer mask and the opening intro kicks in. What do you think? Could this be from a Whisperer watching the survivors at Oceanside, or could it have just randomly drifted in? If you watch the opening credits closely, you may have noticed a few updates, including this shout out to the OG or original Grimes of the series, as well as a subtle nod to Season 10, and some new words of warning painted here. After the updated intro, the episode cuts back to Aaron at Oceanside warning Alexandria about the Whisperer mask. The survivors are clearly traumatized as just one mask can get the entire community freaked out. Aaron convinces Michonne to investigate, but Daryl decides to stay back and wait for his bestie Carol.
Tell her not to leave again without saying goodbye.
After that, the story cuts to Michonne and her team scouting the area for signs of the Whisperers with a cool drone shot to end the scene. Following that is a pondering moment with Michonne and Aaron that we've already seen in a sneak peek. Aaron does make a good point though.
We're the villains of someone else's story. Threat to their survival. So dangerous they threaten to wipe us out.
What do you think? Are they still the good guys? After checking in with the other duos, Aaron and Michonne come across a bridge and Aaron jumps into the action a little bit too fast. Michonne helps him out but is pissed he was careless, especially after her last bridge experience. Can you blame her? Michonne's group meets back up and they find a crime scene that tells them most likely the Whisperers have been on their side of the border. What have they been watching and how much do they know about the survivors? Is it possible other Whisperers infiltrated their groups? After the scout group arrives back at camp and Aaron contemplates the next move with Michonne, the scene cuts to Judith telling RJ the story of the brave man, aka Rick Grimes, his father. This is a sad moment even though we know Rick is alive because RJ and Judith have been deprived of a father. Just as Michonne and RJ have a hallmark moment, that satellite from the beginning comes back into play. Before we can see what happens, the story cuts back in time to when Judith finds the Whisperer mask. Now we get a Tarantino-style story change of perspective to Alexandria's point of view. First we get treated to a shot of Rosita training, then Eugene analyzing way too many details about her baby. It's kind of cute in a creepy way, right? Sadiq is also helping raise the baby along with Gabe and Rosita, and the big question we have is there some sort of thruple or quadruple action going on here? Next, the story cuts to Lydia learning how to read, and she doesn't seem to be the teacher's pet.
I've gone my whole life without reading. I don't see the point in learning how to do it now.
Members of the council crash her class, but it's obvious they still don't trust Lydia. Alpha's daughter goes outside to train with the staff. Too bad Morgan's not here to give her tips. Negan approaches, and it's clear he feels a kinship with her as an outsider, but she doesn't really feel the same way. Their relationship could end up being interesting this season as it was never really explored in the comics. After the council figures out their next move, the story cuts to Sadiq bonding with his baby, but a PTSD flashback of the Pike death murders he witnessed along with a spider which he is scared of really gets him in a weird headspace. That moment transitions into the intro of Dante, a character from the comics who Maggie eventually fell for. It doesn't seem he has many similarities to his comic counterpart, but you never know where the show might take this new character. Could he actually be an undercover whisperer? That would be an unexpected twist, and he honestly does seem pretty weird already.
The way you're staring at my mouth is making me warm and tingly inside.
The next scene shows us Negan is in the work release program as he's back in his cell having a talk with Father Gabe. This is another sneak peek we've already seen as Negan baby birds some valuable info into Gabriel's mouth. What do you think? Will Negan ever really be one of them? If he killed Alpha, would that win everyone over? Only time will tell. Following that fun moment, the story cuts to outside in Alexandria. Just as Gabe gives some orders to fortify defenses, the satellite starts coming down again, and we get to see Eugene do his scared shuffle run. Next, the action cuts all the way back to the moment of the Whisperer warning on the radio, but this time we'll see Daryl's perspective. He heads to Oceanside's beach where we get a little side story between Kelly and Connie. It seems Kelly is starting to go deaf and not dealing with it too well. At least she already knows sign language. Daryl and Connie have a cute moment and Kelly thinks there's something between them. The story then cuts to Daryl on the docks waiting for Carol to come back in. Apparently Ezekiel doesn't have any ill will towards Mr. Dixon as they chatted up like the old friends that they are.
Best friend I ever had. We still never talk sometimes.
Connie approaches the two and it seems Daryl is learning sign language. Will he get with Connie or Carol? Finally, Carol's ship arrives, and it's obvious Ezekiel has some conflicting feelings. Awkward. He's still in love with her and probably always will be. Could he be the next to die? After we find out Daryl has a sign language dictionary, which is adorable, Carol has a much less awkward reunion with him, and the two leave together to catch up. Poor Zeke. The two walk through Oceanside and talk about the life of a sailor. Carol also lets us viewers know that Maggie hasn't written a letter in a while. What is she up to with Georgie? We know from her New York Comic-Con appearance that she will be returning, but we don't have many details to date. It appears Carol has actually moved on from Henry's death and let go of her anger until Daryl lets her know about the mask that Judith found. We know from the original Season 10 trailer that Carol's view on the Whisperers will take a drastic change.
Bitch has to die.
And this seems to be the first step towards Killer Carol returning once again. The conflicted couple take a ride through the woods and we get to see them having fun together. Obviously, a quiet before the storm moment when the arrows and knives start flying. The two kill some walkers in the woods and end up on a road next to one of the Whisperer borders. Carol wants to cross the border to get a deer, but Daryl is still scared of the Whisperers. This rubs Carol the wrong way, but she forgives him as they take a break in the woods. The two then have an existential talk where Daryl defines the relationship, but not really.
Sorry if I didn't want my best friend to spend her whole life on a boat.
Carol picks on him, and it's a fun back and forth that we've already seen, but it's really kind of ridiculous how long we've been building up whatever this is between the two of them. Carol and Daryl eventually decide to run away, but we don't think that's going to happen anytime soon, especially with a war brewing. In a hilarious turn of events, Daryl gives Carol a friendship bracelet, but that moment gets broken up by the satellite falling once again. The communities all converge where the satellite landed, which just happened to be right on the inside of the Whisperer border. A little convenient for the story purpose, but points for creativity. The survivors decide to cross the border to put the fire out so it doesn't spread to their land. The firefighting scene is intense and we get to see everyone pitching in to help, except Negan. Ezekiel feels obligated to put the fire out after what happened to the kingdom, while Carol comes up with some unique ways to fight the fire. Unfortunately, fire draws walkers in, so the group gets a little added challenge to their task. Daryl shows his axe throwing skills off with a multi-walker kill, and eventually the group puts out the fire. Eugene wants to take all the technology he can get and fights for it. Could something he find here help find Rick, or be part of what wins this war? Michonne just wants to get out of there, but realizes a couple of their group are missing. Daryl and Carol look at the spot where Alpha showed him the horde, but nothing is there now. Daryl leaves, but Carol stays behind and she's just in time to catch Alpha. The Whisperer leader looks big mad while Carol seems to be happy that she's antagonizing her as the episode ends. What do you think? Who will kill Alpha? Will Carol be the one instead of Negan, or someone else entirely like newcomer Whisperer Thora Birch? Overall, this episode had a good blend of action, character information, and story progression. We wish we would have gotten more Judith and Father Gabriel, but overall, a very solid season opener. Now it's time for our binge breakdown of the trailer for Episode 2. The trailer focuses solely on the Whisperers, so it's a pretty safe bet that Episode 2 will revolve all around them and where they've been. The first shot shows two Whisperers carrying sticks through the woods, possibly resetting up their old camp. The next shot shows Beta and Alpha having an intimate moment as it's clear Alpha trusts him completely and lets him hold the razor to her bald head. Beta tells Alpha it's time to return, but they just might end up regretting that decision. The trailer then cuts to a sequence of a pack of Whisperers wandering down a street. The last shot in that sequence shows us what appears to be Gamma, newcomer Whisperer and American Beauty co-star Thora Birch. What kind of role will she play in this season? Will she undermine Alpha or take her place? Following that is a shot of Whisperers walking through a field. After that, the trailer cuts back to Beta talking to Alpha, and it appears he's telling her that other Whisperers have spotted survivors, but we're not sure in what context. Trespassing on the survivors' land or in their own territory. The next shot is a close-up of Alpha doing her Whisperer walk, which then cuts to a wider shot of walkers and Whisperers, which cuts to a bird's-eye view shot of two groups approaching each other. We believe one of these groups is survivors. The next shot shows a weird moment with Gamma and two other Whisperers. The way this is edited shows Alpha reacting to that moment, not looking too happy, but this could have been taken out of context. There's just no way to tell. Could Gamma be an undercover survivor? In this show, anything is possible. Beta and Alpha seem to confront Gamma, but nobody is getting their head cut off just yet. Alpha asks who appears to be Gamma if she doubts her, but again, it's impossible to know what's really happening here. After that, the trailer cuts to Beta approaching a few walkers feeding on something or someone, but before we can see what he's doing, the action cuts back to Alpha sharpening her knife. What do you think? Are heads going to fly already? The following shot shows Alpha and Gamma walking in the pack, but Gamma seems to get freaked out by something. Could she be introduced just to be killed? The trailer cuts back to Beta seemingly proclaiming his faith for Alpha, but it's hard to tell with the magic of editing. The last few shots show Whisperers lined up in an almost cult-like way, as Alpha is being a demented psycho boss once again. What do you think? How long will the Whisperer war go on? Could Alpha actually survive? Now it's time to reveal the big winner of our Walking Dead supply drop, as well as our second and third place prizes. Less than 100 people actually entered the contest, which means you should enter the next one, people. You do have a real chance. Unfortunately, there can only be one big winner, and for this one, it's YouTube user Lucy Mills. Congratulations, Lucy. Please reach out to us via the email in our About Me section so we can get you your prize. Our second place winner is user Hot Mess Mom, and our third place is user K Carps. Please reach out to us and we'll get everyone their prizes as soon as possible. Thanks so much for supporting our channel and helping us grow. We appreciate each and every one of you and hope to get to our next milestone of 25,000 subs before Season 10 is over. Finally, we have our Season 10 death predictions. Who will die in the Whisperer War? First up on our list is the King, and we're not talking about Elvis, people. We covered him leaving the show a while ago, and although his exit seems ambiguous, we believe he's not going to make it past the Whisperer War, but that he will make a heroic sacrifice before it's his time to say goodbye. We also believe someone from Magna's group is going to bite the dust. We don't think Magna or Connie will go, but that Luke, Kelly, or Yumiko might not make it out alive. Next up, we think that Negan might bite the dust before the smoke clears, but he might do it by performing some heroic act that saves everyone, proving Rick was right to let him live. How long can he go on kind of being trusted by the Alexandrians?
You're supposed to keep your distance.
On the Whisperer side, we believe most of the Whisperers will eventually die, but for right now, Alpha will be possibly the first to go, although in a surprise twist, it could end up being Beta instead. In this show, there's no way to know for sure unless we're given a major spoiler or until we see an on-screen death. What do you think? Who will be the first to die? Thanks so much for watching our videos, everyone. As always, we're on the lookout for insider info and hard-to-find promotional material to help prove or disprove all the theories out there about our favorite, seemingly endless zombie series. Please let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Binge Rampage. Click that notification bell for our channel so you can see our next video as soon as it comes out. And don't forget to subscribe.
You really think you're gonna take this community from us? From Glenn, from Michonne, from Daryl, from me? Do you have any idea who you're talking to?